Discover the heartwarming reason a billionaire found his maid's daughter washing dishes at 3 a.m. The moon hung high in the sky as Sarah stumbled into the sprawling kitchen of the Hamilton mansion, tired but tenacious. She loved her job as a maid, even in the wealthy home of John Hamilton, a billionaire CEO. Yet it was past midnight, and Lily, her darling daughter, stood at the sink, scrubbing dishes with all her might. "Mommy, I wanted to help," she chirped, determination etched on her small face. Sarah's heart swelled, mixing pride with a twinge of regret. At just 10 years old, Lily was already carrying too much weight on her small shoulders. John strode into the kitchen after a high-profile charity gala, a world vastly different from the one he was about to stumble into. Stepping into the grand expanse lit by antique chandeliers, he froze at the sight of the girl. Only 3 a.m., and here she was, eyes sparkling with relentless spirit, scrubbing away not just the dishes, but the shadows of their financial troubles. The contrast of her innocence against the opulence around her gripped his heart. In that moment, he felt a sharp pang of guilt, a reminder of the silent struggles he rarely glimpsed from his ivory tower. "What are you doing up so late, little one?" he asked gently, his voice rich with curiosity. "I'm helping Mommy," Lily replied, her sincerity brightening the gloom. It was a simple task, yet starkly profound, revealing layers of life that John had long ignored. He couldn't fathom why a child should be doing this, not in his world, not in her heart. Here was a girl silently battling challenges that she was too young to comprehend fully. As days turned to weeks, John found himself drawn to the household's pulse, the laughter, the struggles, and an unshakable bond between Sarah and Lily. Every conversation he shared with them chipped away at his previous misconceptions about privilege and success. He'd been a child of humble beginnings, but wealth had skewed his understanding. Now, as he began to witness their smaller world, he felt a whisper of change stirring within him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. But the bond between them was not without its tensions. Sarah's pride battled John's instinct to help. He brought in gourmet meals, luxury gifts, even offers to find Lily a scholarship to a prestigious school. Yet each gesture was met with hesitation. Could she accept help without losing her dignity? The economics of her world had kept her strong, yet it was the emotional fortitude that threatened to fracture her shield. As John revealed bits of his own past struggles, moments where he'd felt as lost as Sarah and Lily, a bridge of understanding began to build. He was no longer just a figurehead in an ivory tower. He was a man, transformed. They were learning to redefine success together, weaving a new narrative that transcended any disparity. The night thickened with unspoken promises, as Sarah's heart danced between hope and uncertainty. Could she really let him in? Would they be able to bridge their separate worlds without losing themselves in the process? The air buzzed with unanswered questions, and just as she caught John's eye, a flicker of something profound passed between them, like the first spark of a fire waiting to ignite. Would they take that leap together, or remain forever on opposite shores? The next morning dawned with a hazy light filtering through the grand windows of the Hamilton mansion. Sarah quietly prepared for her day, mentally grappling with the emotional whirlwind from the night before. Every clang of a dish or rustle of fabric in the kitchen felt magnified, her thoughts oscillating between gratitude for John's kindness and a nagging sense of vulnerability. As she filled the kettle with water, she glanced at Lily, still in her pajamas, lost in a world of crayons and paper at the kitchen table. "What's in your mind, sweetheart?" Sarah asked, her voice soft, as she poured the boiling water into her favorite mug. It was an attempt to steer her thoughts away from the heaviness that lingered after John's unguarded kindness. "I'm drawing us a house, Mommy," Lily beamed, holding up a picture depicting a vibrant 2-story dwelling with flowers around the entrance and a big sun shining above. "And I put a big garden." The innocence in her voice, the ease with which she envisioned happiness, stirred something deep within Sarah. "That's beautiful, darling," Sarah replied, her heart aching at the purity of her daughter's dreams. It was moments like these that reminded her of why she fought to provide for them both. Yet worry tugged at her thoughts. Was she doing enough? John arrived shortly after, a soft smile adorning his chiseled features. He held a fresh bouquet of lilies, their scent filling the room as he approached. "Morning, Sarah. Morning, Lily," he called out cheerfully. "Good morning," Lily chirped, her face lighting up. "Look at my drawing." John knelt beside her, genuinely fascinated. "Wow, that looks amazing. Is this going to be your dream house?" "Yes, you can have a room like yours, but it's going to be much bigger," Lily declared, her eyes sparkling with hope. John glanced at Sarah, who managed a weak smile. It struck him how this innocent dream carried the weight of 1,000 unfulfilled aspects: a shelter, safety, and love, all rolled into one simple drawing. He felt an overwhelming urge to envelop them both in that space of peace. "Can I help you build it?" John asked, still kneeling. His words hum in the air, tinged with sincerity. "I mean, not just in your drawing. I can help make it a reality." Sarah's heart thudded loudly, caught between desire and fear. It was one thing to navigate their small world together, but another to accept the bold offer of help from someone of his stature. What did that even mean for them? "I appreciate it, John, but we're fine," she replied, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. "Are we, though?" he countered gently. The moment felt heavy, the vulnerability palpable. "Mommy works hard," Lily chimed in, wrapping her small arms around Sarah's waist. "And I help." John's gaze softened, understanding the pride that came within that statement. "I know you do, but you both deserve more than just making ends meet. Let me help." Sarah could almost feel the walls she'd built around her heart beginning to tremble. With John's words resonating, she took a breath, wondering if maybe, just maybe, there was room for something new. Could she allow herself to be vulnerable enough to accept help without losing the essence of who she was? As the day drifted into afternoon, their conversation continued to unfold, with layers peeling back like the petals of the lilies on the table. Yet an undercurrent of tension and hesitation clung to the edges, mirroring the uncertainty that colored their motives. What Sarah didn't realize was that this moment of choice would lead them down a path neither had anticipated. Would they be able to redefine their boundaries, and what would that mean for the life they were building together? The kitchen felt charged, the air thick with possibilities. Just as a smile began to form on Sarah's lips, John reached out, brushing fingers against hers, igniting a spark of connection neither could ignore. "Can we dream together?" he whispered, hope lighting up his eyes. In that moment, a new chapter awaited, one full of trust, vulnerability, and the unknown. Would they dare to take the plunge into uncharted waters? The sunlight poured through the large window, spilling warmth across the kitchen floor, as Sarah stood, pensively clutching her mug of coffee. The warmth spread through her fingers, but it did little to thaw the chill of uncertainty settling in her gut. Lily, undeterred by the weight of the moment, continued to color enthusiastically, her little fingers dancing across the page. Every stroke of the crayon was a declaration of hope, and Sarah marveled at her daughter's joy. How could someone so small hold so much happiness, even in the simplest drawings? "What about a little trampoline in the backyard?" Lily suggested, her eyes wide with excitement. "Jumping will help us fly to the sun." Sarah chuckled softly, the idea lifting some of her heaviness. "That sounds like a lot of fun. We could jump high, just like the clouds." In the backdrop, John's presence remained almost grounding, like a steady heartbeat in the room. He leaned against the counter, watching the two of them, filled with admiration. There was something profoundly beautiful about that little scene. The laughter, the dreams, the faint sense of home-cooked breakfast still lingering in the air. It brought back memories of his own childhood, before the weight of expectations and responsibilities formed barriers around his heart. A longing welled within him, urging him to reach out further. "Why don't we take a trip to the park this weekend?" John proposed, keeping his tone light and inviting. "We could bring along some snacks and enjoy the day outdoors. There's a great playground, and I bet there's a nice open space to jump." Sarah's eyes met his, her initial impulse to say no battling with the longing in her heart. "That sounds nice," she replied cautiously. The idea of spending more time together tugged at something deep inside her, something she had buried beneath layers of responsibility and self-reliance. Lily cheered, twirling in her seat. "Yay! Mommy, can we go see the ducks too? They might have babies." Seeing her daughter so delighted ignited a warmth in Sarah, and she found herself smiling despite her worries. "Sure, sweetheart, we can do that." With that acceptance, a thread of connection began to weave them closer, even if the uncertainty lingered in the air. John's gaze flickered between mother and daughter as he felt the beginnings of something profound of excitement and apprehension. She opted for a simple dress, the blue fabric hugging her curves just enough to feel confident but not overly exposed. She glanced at herself in the mirror, smoothing her hair. Was she really ready to step into this new chapter? John arrived with a basket filled with goodies and a bright smile that made her heart race. He wore casual jeans and a fitted shirt, looking effortlessly handsome without the weight of his usual suits. "You look beautiful," he said simply, and Sarah felt the warmth of redness creep to her cheeks. "Thanks," she replied, allowing a shy smile to break through. The tension had shifted, fueled by something unspoken yet palpable. They headed to the car, laughter and chatter spilling from Lily as she helped carry the basket. The drive to the park was filled with light-hearted banter, and for the first time in a long while, Sarah began to feel a sense of ease. She could see John's genuine enjoyment in sharing these moments, a stark contrast to the guarded business persona he wore most days. When they reached the park and stepped out of the car, the world seemed to stretch before them, wide open and full of promise. Sarah watched her daughter dart toward the playground, a little flicker of joy chasing after her. "What did I get myself into?" she whispered, more to herself than to John. "It's not a burden, you know," he said softly, stepping closer. "It's an opportunity to build something beautiful together. You don't have to do this alone." His words wrapped around her heart like a warm embrace. For the first time, she considered the possibility of opening herself up, trusting not only him, but also the universe that had brought them together. But just as she began to imagine where this could lead, a commotion erupted nearby. A group of children were running toward the pond, their laughter echoing against the trees. "Wait!" one of the parents yelled, panic rising in their voice. Sarah's heart raced as her protective instincts kicked in. "Lily!" she shouted, and her world instantly narrowed, focused just on her daughter's bright yellow dress flitting through the crowd. An icy tremor of fear gripped her. Would this day be the start of something new, or an unforeseen danger lurking amidst the joy? "What's happening?" John asked, his expression flipping from calm to concerned. "Lily!" Sarah managed to cry out again, and time slowed as she sprinted toward the chaos, heart pounding, uncertain of what awaited. In that tense moment, everything hinged on what would happen next. Was she ready to embrace love when chaos seemed to ensue? The answer felt just out of reach as she raced to find her little girl. Lily's laughter echoed in Sarah's ears as she pushed past the other parents, weaving through kids and dogs in a blur of color and movement. Panic hung in the air, spicy and acrid, and she didn't dare turn back to see if John was with her. She fought against the mounting dread clawing at her throat. "Lily!" she shouted again, her voice threading through the laughter and cries. The laughter now felt overwhelming, unsettling. A knot twisted in her stomach as she reached the edge of the pond. She squinted, scanning the families enjoying the afternoon, suddenly aware of the splashes and shrieks echoing from the water. Just ahead, a group of children had gathered. Her heart sank when she saw her daughter's yellow dress standing among them, still excited, but now surrounded by a few concerned parents. "They're just playing," a voice from the crowd said, offering half-hearted reassurance. But Sarah felt the urgency swelling inside her like a rising tide. John caught up, breathless and wide-eyed, the uncertainty in his expression mirroring her own fear. "Where's Lily?" he asked, taking in the scene before them. "She's right there," Sarah pointed toward the gathering. Clarity washed over her as she pushed through the throng, each step bouncing with dread. As they got closer, Sarah could finally see Lily crouched down, her small hands splashing at the water's edge, where a cluster of ducklings paddled around their mother. Lily's laughter rang out again, bright and pure, infectious in the way only a child's laughter could be. "Mommy, look! They're so cute!" "Lily!" called out, oblivious to the chaos she had just stirred in her mother. Relief flooded through Sarah, and she stumbled back a step, clutching her chest as if her heart might escape. The panic was replaced by an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The worry that had gripped her in an icy hold melted away. "Sweetheart," she started, kneeling beside Lily, "you scared me so much. You need to be careful." Lily looked up, eyebrows knitted in confusion. "But Mommy, look how small they are. Can we get closer?" John stepped beside them, a half smile breaking his worried frown. He chuckled. "Just a bit closer, but let's not scare the ducks away." Together they edged nearer, closely watching as Lily reached a hand out, squealing with delight every time a duckling ventured nearer. "See, Sarah, she's okay," John said softly. The worry in his voice had ebbed, replaced by a more relaxed tone as he took in the tender moment before them. Lily giggled again, her pure delight infectious. The tension in Sarah's shoulders eased, and for the first time since arriving, she felt a joy bubbling up inside, a moment captured, vivid and bright. "Let's feed them some crumbs, too," Lily suggested, bouncing on her toes. "Now that sounds fun," John said, his eyes sparkling with good humor as he reached into the picnic basket for some bread. He tore off a piece, demonstrating the toss. Just like that. Watching the way John interacted with Lily drew an emotional warmth from deep within Sarah. This is what connection felt like. Suddenly, her heart ached with the heaviness of possibility. Could they build something real? Could she allow her guard to slip just a little more? The hope flickered there, a small light in the shadow of uncertainty. As the three of them fed the ducks, everything around them felt amplified. The laughter, the ducks quacking, even the warmth of the sun on her back. Sarah was fully present, wrapped in the aura of newfound hope and connection growing around them. But just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, cutting through the moment like a sudden chill. She hesitated, glancing at John and Lily, their laughter still ringing in her ears. The screen lit up a harsh blue. It was a message from her boss, a reminder of the obligation she had tried to forget for just a little while. Her heart sank at the reminder of reality pushing in on this perfect moment. "What's wrong?" John asked gently, noticing her sudden stillness. "Nothing, just work," she replied, forcing a smile as she tucked her phone away. But the weight of her job loomed over her, a reminder of what she had left behind, even just for an afternoon. Lily's innocent questions and John's comforting presence ignited a flicker of resilience within her. But as she watched the ducks waddle away, it was clear they could not remain untouched by the realities that awaited them. Could she find a balance between the love she was learning to embrace and the responsibilities calling her back? The laughter faded slightly as the breeze picked up, rustling through the trees. Sarah felt that familiar knot of uncertainty return, hungry and waiting. Just as she decided to join in her daughter's joy again, a shout caught her attention. A mother cried out to her son approaching the pond, distressed as he stumbled and fell. "Wait!" Sarah called instinctively, her heart racing again, bracing for the wave of potential chaos that loomed ahead. What more could she handle today? Would she run again, or stand firm and face the unexpected? Every heartbeat pressed her closer to the edge of the unknown. "Watch out!" Sarah yelled, her instincts taking over as she surged toward the boy. Time seemed to stretch as she reached him just as he lost his footing, a blend of fear and urgency driving her forward. She grabbed him by the shoulders, steadying his fall and forcing him to regain his balance. "Are you okay?" she asked, breathless, heart still racing. The boy blinked up at her, tears welling in his eyes, his small body trembling. "I just wanted to throw a rock. I didn't mean to slip," he stammered. "Nothing to worry about, sweetheart," she soothed, kneeling to his level. "Just take it slow. The rocks can be slippery." She gave him a gentle smile, her heart warming a little further as she eased the tension that hung thick in the air. Behind her, John observed, a hint of admiration brightening his expression. Their daughter was still nearby, giggling with abandon, blissfully unaware of the world's chaos around her. Truly, Lily was a buoy in a turbulent sea, a spark of innocence and joy that Sarah clung to tightly. But the moment couldn't linger. The mother rushed up, panic flaring across her face. "Oh my God, thank you so much," she exclaimed, breath hitching with relief. "It's no problem at all," Sarah replied, reassuring the frantic mother. "He just slipped. Kids will be kids, right?" They shared a brief look, two mothers sharing the complicated dance of caring for their children in a wild world. As the boy regained his composure, laughter bubbled from nearby. Lily was still entranced by the ducklings, her pristine world unshaken. Sarah felt the weight of the moment crash down again, heavy with lingering fear and obligations gnawing at the edges of her joy. As the crowd shifted around them, she sensed her phone buzzing again in her pocket. She desperately pretended it didn't matter, that she was immersed in this pure family moment. Yet a shadow lurked in the corner of her mind, refusing to drift away. "Sarah," John's voice cut through her. There was concern etched across his face as he stepped beside her, his brow furrowed. "Are you sure you're all right?" "Just a normal day at the park," she replied, though the tremble in her voice betrayed her. "I didn't expect anything like this." "You're always so anxious," he pointed out gently, his brow softening as he took her hand. "Let it go for today." She longed to sink into safety, to bask in the warmth of their small family. Yet something clawed at her insides. The reality of her responsibilities felt like an anchor, holding her back from floating in this blissful connection. She needed to find a release, but how? "Hey, let's take a break from feeding the ducks," John suggested, shifting his gaze back toward the water. "How about we find a good spot for our picnic? The ducks can wait." Lily jumped up and down in agreement, her voice chiming in, "Yes, picnic time!" That glimmer of joy ignited something fragile and beautiful in Sarah's chest. She nodded slowly, allowing herself to be swept up in the magic. Together, they began to walk back toward the picnic area, the air filled with the sparkle of laughter and shared moments. Yet, her heart still sank with a thought. The inevitable returned to reality. Meanwhile, those whispers grew more prominent in her mind. A nagging question spun through her head. Could she truly let go, even for a moment? When they reached their picnic blanket, she forced a smile, trying to banish the shadows of worry lurking at the edge of her joy. She opened the basket, pulling out sandwiches and fresh fruit, while Lily giggled, bouncing with excitement. John settled in close, wrapping an arm around her shoulder, grounding her even as her thoughts whirled. "Everything will be okay," he murmured, looking straight into her eyes, giving her the courage she hadn't realized she needed. But just as she started to believe him, her phone buzzed again, this time a call. Fear gripped her heart as she saw the caller ID flash on the screen. It was her boss. "Do you really need to answer that?" John asked, softly, reading the tension on her face. She hesitated, torn. The choice seemed monumental. Here was her chance to either embrace this moment fully or spiral back into the chaos waiting on the other end of the line. Could she press the answer button, keeping her life on hold for a little longer? Or would she hit reject and face the unknown consequences of living her truth? Each scenario raced through her mind as time slowed. In that instant, the thrilling rush of the moment hung in the balance, waiting for her decision. With a trembling hand, Sarah finally hit the red decline button. The phone sank back into her pocket, but her heart still raced. Maybe it was a risk, but for now, she was choosing to be present. In that small act, she felt a surge of defiance that knitted a fragile smile onto her face. "All right, let's dig in," she said, her tone brighter as she turned to Lily, who was eyeing the sandwiches like they were the most precious treasure. John smiled back, his gaze warm and filled with understanding. "There's the Sarah I know," he said softly, stealing a bite of a turkey sandwich. "Can I have the biggest one?" she chimed, unaware of the weight that had just lifted off her mother's shoulders. "First, you have to finish your sandwich, little miss," John laughed, and the tension that had clung to Sarah began to dissipate. They'd found a pocket of joy amidst the chaos of their lives, and she breathed it in like a summer breeze. As they settled into their meal, they shared stories, creating memories that felt timeless. In those moments, Sarah could almost forget the demands that loomed over her, an overwhelming workload, an endless with chores, and the clamor of responsibilities that silently gnawed at the edges of her happiness. But a flutter stirred in her chest whenever she thought of her job. The text messages that had come through that morning echoed in her brain, deadlines approaching, meetings to be had. Her vacation was ending soon, and the world outside the serene park felt like a tidal wave ready to crash down again. "Mommy, look at the ducks!" Lily exclaimed, pointing to where a small family of mallards floated effortlessly on the water. The innocence in her daughter's voice reminded Sarah of why she fought to find balance. "What a beautiful sight," she said, forcing her thoughts aside, allowing the warmth of the moment to wash over her. Just a few more moments, she thought, just enough to fill her heart. As lunch wound down, she caught John's sideways glance. He had this way of seeing right through her armor. "You're thinking about work again, aren't you?" he prompted, his voice low enough so only she could hear. She sighed and nodded slightly, the joy starting to fade. "How can I not? It's so hard to shut it off." Her words felt heavy, weighted with the challenges she faced every day. "Let's just enjoy today. We'll tackle tomorrow when it comes." She wanted to believe him, to trust in his optimism, but would it truly be that simple? Lily, in her own world, began to mimic the duck's quacks, her tiny voice breaking through the thoughts that consumed Sarah. The childish laughter was infectious, and Sarah watched as other picnic-goers couldn't help but smile at the display. Just as she began to join in the lightness of the moment, her phone buzzed again, this time vibrating wildly. She froze, staring down at the screen. Another call, this time from an unknown number. John noticed her sudden change in demeanor. "It's just a number. You can ignore it," he encouraged. But curiosity got the better of her. What if it was something crucial? Yet deep down, she felt another tug, a sinking fear of what awaited her if she answered it. She lifted her phone to look, heart pounding as John squeezed her hand. "You want to call it fair? Take a chance on our moment?" he whispered. Just then, Lily's laughter rang out again, so pure and free. How can things feel so right, yet so complicated? With a deep breath, Sarah found herself at another crossroads. The choice was hers. Would she answer and risk it all? Or could she let the unknown settle into the background, if only for a little while longer? As her thumb hovered over the screen, a mantra whispered through her mind. Choose joy. Choose today. But would she be able to let fate take its course? The moment stretched as Sarah studied the unknown number flashing on her screen. The sun bathed her face in warmth, but she felt a chill creep in, nipping at her resolve. "What if it's work?" she murmured, anxiety wrapping around her like a thick blanket. John's grip tightened on her hand. "Then it'll still be there later. Right now, it's just us." His voice held a steadiness that invited her to breathe, to pause, to enjoy the fleeting tranquility surrounding them. But uncertainty bubbled beneath her skin. The weight of impending responsibilities pressed hard against her heart. She imagined the emails piling up, deadlines looming like dark clouds in the horizon. Yet here was Lily, carefree, oblivious to the storm brewing in her mother's mind. "Mommy, the ducks want a race," Lily shouted, drawing Sarah's attention back to the playground of the park, where children chased after bubbles that shimmered in the light, laughter resonating like music. "Maybe we should race too," Sarah suggested, hoping to shake off the mounting worry. A small smile played at the corners of her mouth as she pictured herself running alongside Lily and John, letting go of the world that weighed her down, at least for a moment. "On your mark, get set, go," she called out, her laughter ringing out as she jumped to her feet, eager to join her daughter in the innocent chaos of a race. The call from work slipped away, replaced by the joyous sound of giggles and a burst of energy that filled her spirit. They dashed across the grassy field, the golden sunlight catching the curls of Lily's hair, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah felt weightless, untethered from her cares. But as she finally slowed, breathless with laughter, her phone buzzed again, this time vibrating more insistently against her leg. She hesitated, glancing back down at the screen, caught in another internal tug-of-war. "Just let it ring," John exclaimed, playfully nudging her shoulder. "What could be more important than this?" His words dripped with sincerity, and for a brief second Sarah considered his faith in enjoying the moment. Maybe she didn't always need to be on. Perhaps it was okay to ignore her responsibilities, if only this once. As she stood there, torn between competing worlds, a small part of her wished she could leave them behind altogether. But the pressure mounted within her, the reality of adult life lurking just beyond the park's borders, a suffocating weight that threatened to steal the peace she'd found. "Mommy," Lily called out, rushing up alongside her with cheeks flushed from running. "Can we go to the swings next?" Her daughter's bright eyes ignited a spark of hope within Sarah's heart. This moment mattered, so much more than any call. Still, a small gnawing fear danced at the back of her mind. What would happen if she didn't answer, and it turned out to be important? "Can I just check it?" she asked John softly, feeling the familiar pull of obligation. "Only if you promise to dive back into our moment after," he replied, squeezing her hand again. With a reluctant sigh, Sarah's thumb hovered over the unremarkable screen once more. But just then, a figure caught her eye, a woman juggling shopping bags and a toddler as they passed, struggling with every step. Something instinctual sparked within her, a memory flickering to life. That same feeling of juggling too much, a feeling like the weight of the world rests on her shoulders. Before she could think twice, she turned to John. What if we helped her? He looked in the direction she pointed, then back at her, a knowing nod of encouragement. "Let's go," he said, determination flashing in his eyes. As they moved towards the woman, Sarah felt a surge of warmth, easing the tension that had gripped her. Perhaps today wasn't just about escaping work, but about rediscovering connections in unexpected places. But as they approached, an old friend emerged from the crowd, and Sarah's heart plummeted. What would this unexpected reunion mean for her already complicated day? Would she risk opening her heart to yet another chance? "Sarah," the friend called, and all that could go wrong echoed in the air. Would she have to choose again? Sarah's heart raced at the sound of that familiar voice, a melody from her past, a bittersweet tune that she had long stopped playing. She turned slowly, her breath hitching in her throat as she locked eyes with Emily. They had been inseparable once, sharing secrets and dreams, talking late into the night about the future. But time and life pulled them in different directions, and each was left holding pieces of their own story, now a little frayed at the edges. "Emily," she managed, the name slipping out like a whisper. Her friend stood there, slightly thinner than Sarah remembered, with a tired smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Wow, it's been ages," Emily exclaimed, her voice warmth wrapped in nostalgia. Lily paused beside Sarah, sensing the shift in her mom's energy. "Who's that, Mommy?" she asked, curiosity twinkling in her bright eyes. "This is Emily, my old friend," Sarah replied, the words hanging heavy in the silence. 1,000 memories rushed back, each one a reminder of what they used to share. Emily knelt down to meet Lily's gaze, her smile warming just a bit. "Hi there. You're an adorable little girl. I bet you're a big fan of the swings." "Yes, we're going next," Lily replied enthusiastically, a bounce in her step. As the children exchanged playful words, Sarah felt her heart tethering between joy and an overwhelming sense of loss. The bridge that used to connect her and Emily felt fragile and almost too stretched to cross. "What brings you here?" Sarah asked, daring to peel back the layers of time that had settled between them. Emily's eyes flickered, a fleeting shadow of emotions passing over her features. "Just at the park with my son," she replied, pointing towards a nearby bench where a little boy played with dirt and twigs. "He's got boundless energy. Being a mom is quite the workout, isn't it?" Laughter bubbled up in Sarah's throat. "You have no idea. This one," she gestured to Lily, who was now jovially relaying some dramatic story to John, "keeps me on my toes." But there was a darker undercurrent beneath the surface of their light-hearted banter. Sarah felt the fear creeping back in, the anxiety rising in her chest like a tide. I wasn't sure if you'd be in town," Sarah murmured. The words tasted heavy in her mouth. "Yeah, I moved back a few months ago," Emily said softly, her gaze flicking away momentarily. "Things haven't been easy." Something inside Sarah flickered with recognition. The chaos, the struggles of balancing 1,000 responsibilities. She felt the echo of their shared history. "Do you want to grab a coffee?" Sarah suggested impulsively. Maybe they could start to stitch together the threads of friendship again. Emily hesitated, glancing towards her son. I don't know. I have to make sure he's—" "Just for a quick check-in," Sarah pressed, urgency in her voice. The pull to connect was strong. "Okay, just a few minutes," Emily agreed at last, the willingness to reconnect flickering faintly in her expression. Just as they began to step away, Lily tugged on Sarah's shirt. "Mommy, where are you going? Can I come?" "We're just going to talk for a bit, honey. You can stay with Dad, right?" "Sure," John smiled, kneeling beside Lily, his eyes warm with encouragement. "I'll be right here. You two catch up." As Sarah turned back to Emily, hope threaded through her voice, but a caution clung to the edges. Could they really rebuild what they once had? Or would the passage of time prove insurmountable? With every step away from the playground, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and dread swirling in her stomach. Uncertainty hung in the air like the summer heat, and with each beat of her heart, she knew they were treading on fragile ground. "Is this a mistake?" she thought, her heart racing with possibilities, a kinship she thought lost. As they sat down at a small cafe, the weight of unspoken words loomed large. What if this conversation opened the floodgates to the past she thought she had left behind? Would it be the chance for a new beginning, or merely an echo of what had once been? As they stared into each other's eyes, both of them ready to dive into the complexity of their history, Sarah felt the air shift once more. Where would it lead? What lay on the other side of their reunion? The cafe was quaint, with warm lighting that hugged the corners of the room. As they sat across from each other, the ambient sounds of clinking cups and soft chatter drifted around them like the comforting embrace of an old song. Yet the atmosphere felt heavy, as if every word lingered just below the surface, waiting to be unleashed. Sarah fidgeted with her coffee cup, her fingers tracing the rim as if searching for answers there. Emily mirrored her movements, both of them stalling on this moment of awakening and hesitation. "How have you really been?" Sarah asked, her voice a thin veil over concern. Emily looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's been tough, Sarah. I thought coming back might help, but... She paused, a tiny sigh escaping her lips. Life has a way of reminding you of all the things you left behind. A silence hung thick between them. Sarah's heart ached for her friend. The weight of the years apart couldn't be overlooked. "What happened?" she whispered, feeling exposed by her own vulnerability. "Divorce," Emily finally admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Trying to raise Ethan alone has been harder than I imagined. There are nights where I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet." The words struck a chord in Sarah. She'd heard bits and pieces of the overwhelming pressure of motherhood, but to feel it up close hurt even more. "Ethan, he's your son?" Emily nodded, a small smile appearing at the mention of his name. "He's bright, funny, just like you used to be." The smile faded, and she looked away. "But sometimes I feel lost, like I'm not enough." "Lost?" Sarah echoed softly. She knew that feeling well, drifting in the tumult of life, grasping at connections that slipped through her fingers. "You're doing an incredible job. It's not easy, but you're here. You've come back, and that's a step." "Thanks," Emily murmured, her eyes shining with a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "But I just wish things were different. I miss the carefree days." Their laughter, their wild dreams, the memories swirled around them, as vivid as the colors of the cafe. It was a reminder of who they once were, and Sarah felt a longing swell within her. "Maybe we can help each other," Sarah offered, almost instinctively. "I know it's been a long time, but I'm here if you want to talk or if you need help with Ethan." Emily's eyes widened slightly, disbelief touching the edges of her expression. "You really mean that?" "Of course," Sarah nodded firmly. "Life's too short to do it alone. We can share the load." For the first time, Emily's smile reached her eyes. "I'd like that. Really, I would." Just then, a commotion broke out across the cafe as a toddler spilled a full cup of juice, sending sticky orange liquid rolling across the floor. Laughter erupted, lightening the mood in an instant. Sarah and Emily exchanged glances, both of them giggling as they watched the chaos unfold, an unexpected reminder of the joy amidst the chaos of life. As their laughter faded, a sudden awareness drifted over Sarah. This wasn't just a reunion. It was an opportunity. "What if..." she began, her voice trailing off. "What?" Emily leaned in, curiosity lighting her face. "What if we not only helped each other, but found a way to support other moms too? Moms struggling like us?" As the words left her lips, Sarah felt a spark ignite within her. "That could be amazing," Emily whispered, her eyes brightening. "A community really could make a difference." As they began to brainstorm ideas, Sarah's heart swelled with hope. Maybe this was the spark they both needed, a chance to rewrite their stories. But in the back of her mind, fear tangled with excitement. What if it led them to heartbreak again? What if they discovered things about each other that were better left buried? As the afternoon waned and the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the cafe with strokes of gold and pink, Sarah realized that they stood at a precipice. Could they truly forge a new path together? The questions lingered in the air, heavy with potential. What if this moment was the beginning of something transformative, or the unraveling of everything they thought they knew? Could they face whatever came next? The late afternoon sun bathed the cafe in warm golden hues, creating a sanctuary amidst the chaos of their lives. As Sarah and Emily exchanged ideas for their community project, the heaviness in the room began to lift. Laughter bubbled freely, creating an energy that surrounded them, a feeling of possibilities waking up anew. "What if we called it Mommy Connections?" Sarah suggested, her eyes sparkling with creativity. "A place where we can share advice, resources, and encouragement." "I love it," Emily beamed, her features lighting up with enthusiasm. "We can organize playdates, workshops, all kinds of things to make life easier for moms like us." As they began to brainstorm, a vision blossomed before them, each idea unfolding like a petal, revealing unexpected beauty. Ideas flowed like a stream, vibrant and alive, and with each plan, their resolve strengthened. But as Sarah watched Emily animate with excitement, a thought flickered in the back of her mind. What if our pasts hold us back? Emily arched an eyebrow, a question unspoken lingering between them. "Why do you think that way?" "Because we've both been through so much. I mean, will we even have the time and energy to put this together?" Emily leaned forward, her gaze steady. "That's exactly why we should do it. We understand the struggle. Together, we can inspire others while healing ourselves. The truth resonated deeply within Sarah's heart. She had sought connection. Now they were cultivating a community of empathy, understanding, and light. It was an opportunity for her, not just to aid others, but to rekindle her own sense of purpose. "We can do this," she said softly, a newfound confidence emerging. Just then, her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket, a harsh reminder of the world waiting beyond their moment of clarity. But this time, instead of dread, she felt emboldened. "I'll let it ring," she declared boldly, allowing herself to focus fully on the woman before her, on the foundation they were building together. The cafe's atmosphere throbbed with warmth. As they continued to brainstorm ideas, they felt as if they were rediscovering themselves, redefining their lives while embracing the weight of their shared experiences. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows, yet not even the dimming light could overshadow the rising connection blooming between them. They finished their coffee and exchanged contact information, sealing their plans with a promise to meet again soon to strategize further. As they stepped back into the park, laughter echoed around them, an anthem celebrating the joy of connection. John stood nearby with Lily, watching their reunion unfold. He wore a proud smile, the kind that spoke to their evolving journey, a silent promise that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. "Mommy, where have you been?" Lily asked, her tiny face bursting with curiosity. "Oh, just having a chat," Sarah replied, kneeling beside her daughter. "We've got some exciting plans." "Can I help?" Lily's eyes sparkled with eagerness, embodying hope and creativity that only innocence could conjure. "Of course, darling," Sarah chuckled, her heart swelling with love. The feeling was profound, an unmistakable shift from worry to vision. As they walked back toward John, hand in hand, Sarah felt a warmth radiating from within. She was part of something real, something bigger than herself. Their laughter drowned out the shadows of uncertainty, reminding her that even amid challenges, purpose could be forged. In that golden late afternoon light, they returned to the playground. Resilience and excitement danced in the air, weaving possibilities into something tangible. As Sarah gazed at her daughter and John, everything fell into place, each piece fitting snugly into the jigsaw of their lives. And as they shared smiles, play, and warmth, she realized she had embraced the unknown, paving a path towards healing, love, and a beautiful community that could thrive together. In that moment, she grasped the truth. It was okay to lean on one another, letting go of the weight of past burdens. They were all stepping into a place of connection, ready to soar towards the sun. "Let's fly," she whispered under her breath, as the joy in her heart lifted her higher than she'd ever dared to dream. This is it. This is your moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss out on more heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every single like means the world. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Show your support for the stories that uplift and inspire.